So, welcome to Smart Life Forum or Silicon Valley Health Institute, aka Smart Life Forum. We'll start off today with open forum. Does anyone have any health questions? First of all, please everyone turn off their phones. And I think I better myself. Mine better go off also.
From home again.
And he'll be talking at the New Life Expo, and won't you also be? Okay. There were. Right. So that's the weekend of April 26th to the 28th, up in San Francisco? Exactly. All right. Hi, yeah.
I just wanted to share something.
Please.
Well, I'm really excited because this is the oldest I've ever been.
He said, this is the oldest I've ever been. Oh, is it your birthday today?
Wait, no.
Oh.
No, it's not. But it is the oldest I've ever been.
You're correct. We're not going to argue with you. So, are there any health questions or health concerns that have come up in the past month that anyone would like some feedback on? Are you telling me we're going to be able to go straight to the speakers and finish early today? There's no questions? We're processing. I'll give you a couple of minutes then. I would like to, yes? Yes.
What's the best deli in the area for getting really healthy food?
This was not the type of question we expected, but a worthy question because without good food, you can't have good health. So where's the best local deli to here? Anyone know? Whole Foods, but now they use canola oil in all of their salads instead of olive. So, beg pardon?
Cafe Calafia has a deli in Town and Country where you can get organic meats and great organic vegetables. It's next to the restaurant, so you can pick it up anytime.
So that's at Town and Country. Hotel Galapia.
Loving Hut. Loving Hut in Palo Alto and University has a deli. Smaller deli, but at least it's made with love. It's maybe not all perfect either, but it's relative good.
It's invested with good vibes, is what I'm hearing. Yes.
Has anyone been to Life Kitchen in Palo Alto? What does everyone think about that?
It was mixed when I was there. It was very noisy, and they didn't have the gluten-free, so they're going to add that in. But that was an issue there, starting to.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times, and it's pretty good. And they do have gluten-free now, so they're trying to pattern it after Dr. Hyman, his recommendations. So I found it pretty good.
Yes, and also Chipotle's. They have non-GMO corn, and their beef is grass-fed, so they have a lot of good things if you like Mexican. It's not a deli, though.
Chipotle is interesting. Of course, you know it's owned by McDonald's. Yeah, they want a piece of that marketplace. So you have to think twice about going there. Mind you, if you understand a little bit about the meat industry, they're the biggest buyers of beef in the country, and believe it or not, they have improved cattle beef. They have improved the standards for the basic beef in this country compared to what it was. So the more pressure you put on McDonald's for good beef, the more likely all the beef industry changes because they're the biggest buyers.
I heard that McDonald's was involved in starting Life Kitchen, too.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's correct. McDonald's, actually, the CEO of McDonald's is one of the founding members of Life Kitchen and Advisory Board and so on.
Definitely a piece of the pie, eh? And they don't eat their own food at McDonald's, no doubt. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you?
Technological difficulties, but. So, are there any, now that we've had some time, are there any other questions regarding health? That was actually an interesting and good question. It generated some interesting information. There's a health question up here.
What is recommended for hormone replacement for women?
Anybody want to take that one? Ah.
Douglas Husbands. Hormone replacement for women. Well, of course you want to use bioidentical if you're going to use any hormones. That's without need for explanation to this group. But there are options. There's diagnostic information that you want to get because it is extremely important to see where you are at from a functional perspective, not just estradiol or E2 or progesterone or FSH and LH, not just that. But you want to look at the ratio of the two, you know about 2-hydroxyestrones, 4 and 16 hydroxyestrones, you know about that. You want to see where you're at with those levels also. There are different ways of whether you're using sublingual pellets, whether you're using transdermal creams, the way they're processed. So you can't give I can't give a simple answer here, because you want to make sure that you are practicing biochemical individuality and utilizing what is best for your particular needs, how it's delivered. So.
I'm going to chirp in here. Women are supposed to go through menopause. I have clients who come to me 57, 60, 64, still menstruating. This is a problem because they're being put on hormones, you know. My opinion is that the reason that menopause is so very difficult for Western women is the xenoestrogens in the environment. It's not their own hormones. In one generation, or in 2 generations, you don't all of a sudden get massive hormone derangement in a whole population. That doesn't happen. And so the women I work with, I detox, and then they don't have any trouble with hot flushes or any menopausal symptoms. They just disappear. I detox them of the xenoestrogens, and that's actually pretty easy to do. And then their own hormones just go back into balance. You have to. My philosophy is that mostly we have to take stuff out of the body, and we need to put in nutrients so that happens. But adding more hormones, I find pretty scary right now.
And we fully concur, because you had asked about, well, if I'm going to do this. But yeah, absolutely, detoxification, especially what we're going to talk about tonight, but detoxification is absolutely important. And then replenishing nutrients is the basis of what going through the menopause should be. So.
We have more answers.
Well, you know, scholars differ, and we differ in the Smart Life Forum. That's why we have a forum. And I have a different view. I think that, you know, what happens in menopause is that the ovaries stop producing progesterone. And the balance which existed in a healthy woman prior to that between estrogen and progesterone, which is crucial, is pretty much kaput. And I think, and this goes back to one of the earliest meetings, series of meetings we had back in the 90s with Dr. Lee. Some few of us may remember that. Yeah. And Dr. Lee was an advocate of progesterone, and I still am an advocate of bioidentical progesterone. When the woman goes through menopause, estrogen production does not completely shut down because estrogen is produced in fat cells. So about half of the estrogen that she produced before menopause is still being produced, but no progesterone. But progesterone is the protective hormone, and estrogen is dangerous in the absence of progesterone. The whole point in being young and trying to maintain a youthful profile is in part to maintain a youthful hormonal profile. And that's why I take testosterone, and I'm still very glad to be alive, as it were. And so I really believe that people should take progesterone and balance it out and try to maintain a youthful hormonal profile.
And I would respond to that if they don't have the xenoestrogens in them, then their hormones are much more likely to be balanced naturally without addition. So he agrees. We're all in agreement here. I didn't say that. I didn't.
Does your detox of xenoestrogens apply to men, and if so, what is it?
Yes, very much so. Just because women have more estrogen naturally doesn't mean that the xenoestrogens aren't also being absorbed by the men. And we see that with male boobs, bellies in men now. I have had 3 yoga studios years ago, and you know, up until the past 10 years, from the back I could recognize anybody. I could recognize students I'd had 30 years earlier. But now I can't distinguish between a male and a female from the back very often. And that is outrageous in my books, in the sense of what it's done to our population. And it's done terrible things to sperm motility, sperm mobility, same thing, sorry, and total sperm count. Dramatically reduced as a result of the xenoestrogens. That's one of the reasons we have all the prostate problems. Men's hormones are out of balance because of the xenoestrogens. So yes, men absolutely need the xenoestrogen detoxification, without a doubt. I saw a question over here. Are we ready for this? Let me see if we are ready. Okay, I'll find another thing to talk about. Well, first of all, yes. Well, you have to upregulate your liver function, and it's very targeted detox. I don't personally use any glutathione oral glutathione because it breaks down. You're going to break it down into its various amino acids. I like to use I do high mineral, high vitamin C, high protein, including whey. I've actually had one client start dropping uterine tumors just by adding whey to her diet because she was so protein deficient. What people don't realize is that in this environment, we have a very, very toxic environment going on here. That's what the diseases of modern civilization are. This is my philosophy, whether it be EMFs or whether it be chemicals, it's still toxic frequencies, toxic stuff getting into our bodies. And the way to health is, with only 2% of diseases being genetically of origin, what is causing all the diseases we're seeing now? Well, we're introducing tens of thousands of new chemicals into our environment every year. And I read something about the chemicals, like we're talking about a $450 billion industry, and it's just growing exponentially. Like, you've all heard of BPA, the plasticizer. Well, it's now being shoved out of the market. California, you're not allowed BPA, and it's being replaced by BPS. And I don't remember what that S stands for, but it's actually a worse chemical. You know? So these are all, even though we get tiny, tiny little bits of it on a daily basis, but we're getting, the average woman, for instance, is exposed to 125 man-made chemicals before she steps out of the house in the morning. Okay? So that's cumulative. You add all those little bits up. And it's very obvious to, when you look at people, obesity, we store our toxins in fat. That's one of the reasons that people get fat. And when they plateau, when they're dieting, often it's because their blood has gotten so toxic, the body's gone, stop. Well, you can't dissolve any more fat. The liver can't handle it. So you plateau. I get people losing weight by detoxing. I never ever use a diet or calorie restriction, ever. Because guaranteed if somebody is overweight, they have some toxins they need to get rid of. And the body just starts shedding weight when they no longer have toxins to store. Any other questions? And I think this is right in line with what we're doing.